Hey, what's going on, everybody? BDO44 coming into another video. All right, I got a couple playoff thoughts. Just got to watching the Warriors and the Nuggets, and the Nuggets went down 0-3. And I said they would lose this series in 5 at the beginning of the series. That was my prediction, and I felt uncomfortable with that pick. I really did, because I was thinking to myself that Jokic should be able to pull um, more success out of this series, being that he's the reigning MVP and possibly could be a two-time MVP depending on how things go over the next couple weeks. So my thinking was, hey, yeah, do I see it this way? For sure, but I don't know if people would necessarily receive that very well. But looking at how things are panning out, boy, do I feel really, really good, strongly about that Golden State in 5 pick. And I probably was wrong. It's more like Golden State in 4. Denver, the thing about Denver is what we saw tonight from them was good defense. That's what really hurt them. The fact that they were able to actually have some stops throughout pretty much the whole game and still lost. And you look at free throw shooting. They shot like 64% from the free throw line. You saw a lot of missed free throws from players that normally don't miss free throws at all, like Steph Curry and Jordan Poole, two best free throw shooters in the game, missed several in this game. So it was a strange game, to be honest with you, in terms of certain things that you just didn't necessarily expect to see. Like maybe I'd say with 2 minutes left in the game, to me it seemed like the Nuggets there was a sequence where they just literally didn't want to play. They did not run anything. Now, maybe I just wasn't looking at this play correctly. I'm not the greatest basketball mind in the world. I always tell you guys I'm just a guy watching, didn't play the game, so hey, whatever. But it just seemed to me that they just kind of dribbled the ball at the top of the key for a good 8 seconds, and then their player just shot a 3, just literally just jacked up a 3-point shot. No ball movement, no player movement, nothing happening, and they had like 3 minutes to go. The score was extremely close, and I'm just sitting there like, there's no actions being run here. I just don't know how Mike Malone feels about what he's seeing down there. This is a playoff game. It's a clutch moment. It's a pivotal game. Obviously your season is more or less going to be on the line. If you lose this game, you got a chance to win it. And it was just, to my sight, there was no play run, and I just really didn't understand what I was seeing. Honestly, maybe I'm tripping. Don't get it twisted. I'm, like I said, I'm just a guy. But to me, it just seemed like there were opportunities down there for the Denver Nuggets to take this game from the Golden State Warriors. They were missing free throws. They were missing shots. Golden State missed shots that I thought, they could have blew this game wide open as this game was closing. Because Denver's defense kind of was allowing them to get open shots, and they just didn't hit them. It was just bricking them. Wiggins bricked one. Someone else bricked one. It's like, Golden State left the door open, and, everybody played hard, but Denver just could not. They just couldn't get over the hump. Jokic put up, 37 points, 18 rebounds. He had a Jokic game, but you just didn't get anything from the bench at all. So, yeah, man. Feel really good about my pick. I don't have a horse in this race. I'm just enjoying NBA basketball like the rest of us at this point. You know what I mean? And it's good to see Boogie running around out there having some meaningful basketball. After all the injuries that he's had. Some of them injuries that he had with the Lakers. I mean, he was with us for 2 years, and I don't think he even suited up once. It was the strangest thing. He was like a mascot for us. But very much a part of this thing, and won a championship with the Lakers, even though I don't remember seeing him wear our uniform, like at all. So, it's good to see him out there and playing meaningful basketball, but unfortunately his team is going to be going home very soon because, they just don't have enough of their horses, man. I don't think Denver is doing necessarily anything wrong as far as their approach, and their roster. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like, oh my gosh, they need to make this move, they need to trade that guy. Not necessarily. It's just that they're missing 50 or 60 points worth of players, in Jamal Murray and Porter. And I think the assessment is to figure out if they want to go forward with those guys. Can they rely on those guys' health? I think that's what Denver needs to question, because they're in a situation kind of like Philly was before the Harden trade. It's like, how do you maximize Jokic's circumstances with you? I'm not going to say his prime, because I don't know that he's yet there, and I don't think that his game is predicated on speed or athleticism or anything like that. So this guy, the way that he could play like this for as long as his body holds up. So I don't think this is his prime at all. But just bringing it all back, they're in a situation where they got to maximize what he has going on right now. He signed a big contract with him, and they're supposed to be winning championships. And while I do think they have a nice team to do that, they can certainly compete for it. They have two superstars, or two star players in Murray and Murray and obviously the other person, Porter. You're gonna find yourself sitting there wondering if they're ever gonna be healthy enough all at the same time. You know what I mean? Are they all gonna be on the same page at the same time to compete for an NBA championship? And will you be able to play enough defense if they do? You know what I mean? In the short amount of time that you have between now and when Jokic is up for an extension of free agency. So I just can't say the answer is yes. I can't say the answer is yes. If I was certain that core could win the championship, I would just not even blink. I wouldn't even bring this to you guys. But I am not certain they can. They got the right types of pieces. They should, in theory, fit very well. They got all kinds of stuff. Bones Highland developing this year is great. They got all this. But those guys are never healthy, man. Murray should have been back by now. I don't know what's going on with that knee. I'm not going to lie to y'all. It had to be some type of setback or something. Maybe it's not healing right. Maybe they just being extra cautious. I do not know. But it's the playoffs. They're going up against the Splash Brothers, and they need him. He is the exact type of player you need in this situation, because his competitive fervor and his relentlessness is going to will him toward 38-point games, 40-point games, even 50-point games. Where his development was at. This dude is like, I don't look at him as somebody who has any less killer instinct than some of the best killers out there. I look at Jamal Murray as one of the most lethal, clutch scorers in basketball. So don't get it twisted. If the Nuggets for some reason want to move on from him, I want him on my Lakers, straight up. But it's not even about that. It's about, can they rely upon him coupled with the other pieces that they have to get them to that point where Jokic feels great about moving forward with Denver. That's the point. Now, as long as Jokic is married to Denver, everything's fine. You know what I mean? Everything's fine. If he's in love with being there, and he has his future set, and that's all he wants, for himself, that's more than enough. Cool. There should be no reason to even be concerned. But the NBA is an ever-moving situation. Players move around all the time. You got buddy ball. You got different things going on. So, agents and things of that nature. I'd imagine they're going to want Jokic in New York. They're going to want Jokic with the Lakers. They're going to want Jokic in Toronto or something, in one of these emerging markets that they really, really want to pop forward. If they put a team in Vegas, they're going to maybe want to put him there. I'm telling you, that kind of thing it's possible. So Denver needs to stay on guard of that and just make sure they keep a contender around this dude at all times. Easier said than done, no question about it. And I think they've done a very good job. But they got to stay sharp, They got to stay sharp. And this year, he came into the playoffs, he was pretty much by himself. And relying upon a rookie like Bones, who's been great. Guys like Monte, solid. Will Barton, tried and true. Nugget for life, no doubt. that's not enough to win a championship. It's not. You need everybody, and they're just not there. Never mind why. It's on the organization to make sure, just like what we said with Philly, it's on the organization to make sure that they have all they need surrounding that MVP caliber player. Giannis got him a ring because Milwaukee did that. Golden State to make sure Steph and Klay always had contending situations with them. And when they didn't, they were usually hurt. but when they got back, look what they got. You facing it now, Denver. It's just got to keep Jokic. He's one of the top 5 players in basketball and will continue to be probably for the next 8-9 years. Got to make sure you keep a contender around him. You know what I mean? Or you could run the risk of losing him. Simple as that. So that is my thought about the situation. They're down 0-3. Like I said, I thought they played pretty well. They just did not capitalize. It seemed like they played a little tentative down the stretch of that game instead of seizing an opportunity with Jordan Poole kind of having I'm not going to say an opportunity, but his elbow kind of knocked him out of the game for a quick spell, and they didn't capitalize. Now, that's easier said than done when you still got the Splash Brothers to deal with. Still got Draymond to deal with. But he rolled his ankle in this game. Was out for a spell. They didn't capitalize. You know what I mean? It's just, if Denver was going to find their way in this series, they had their opportunities tonight. They had multiple opportunities tonight. And they just didn't seize them. That's the difference between teams that really want it and don't. And I'm not trying to, crap on their effort or nothing like that. But I'm just saying, it's the playoffs. You know what I mean? It's the playoffs. And the teams that wanted more, whether they're shorthanded or not, they're going to will themselves toward victories. And they're going to will themselves to the best opportunity to get victories if they can't, overcome whatever's next to them, If they can't overcome, if they're running into a Giannis or an Embiid, they're going to do everything they can to out-strategize the other team. And I think Denver did that for a good 40 minutes, but they left about 8 of them on the table, and that wasn't enough. As simple as that. That's how I saw it. And as far as the Warriors are concerned, well, see, the thing about this is Denver now has nothing to lose. The next game is still in their house. Your responsibility, of course, is to close them out. I think now Golden State is a good enough bet to close out anybody. Obviously, they've been in this situation a million times. But what I'm looking at is the fact that now they're dealing with the Jordan Poole injury and the Draymond Green injury. And while they both played through those injuries, now they got to sleep on those injuries. And you got to see how will there be any swelling, things of that nature. How would those injuries more or less heal over the next several days. So that could be a thing, to be honest with you. And as it is a thing, then you got to see how other players step up or what have you on the road. So I'm not so sure I'm picking Golden State in game 4. I think I'm still going to stick to my 5-game series prediction because I just think that now the Golden State has a 3-game lead in this series with a whole lot of cushion. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea to scale back. Maybe sit Jordan Poole. You know what I mean? Maybe sit Draymond Green. Now, that's risky. You don't want to play around the playoffs. But depending on how those injuries go, they may not necessarily have a choice. So, in the event that takes place, maybe remove a player or two from Golden State. That should even the score up. And if that's the case, then I like Denver's chances in a desperate situation. Still got to deal with Steph Curry. Still obviously got to deal with Klay Thompson. And I imagine both of those guys can be looking to kill, without any question. Two NBA champions, legends, Hall of Famers. They know how to close series out. So it's going to be extremely difficult. But like I said, I think Jokic will get you a game. He's got his back up against the wall. Depending on how he feels tonight. If he's not dejected and feeling like he's ready to go to Cancun, if he's got some fight left in him, then I expect him to put up a gigantic line in the next game. Because he's their only option anyway. Now, One thing that I did see tonight that I think helped him out, something he can kind of hang his hat on, is the fact that he shot a 3-point shot and it fell. In the first 2 games of the series, he did not take a single 3-point shot, and we talked about that. I think that's something that's very important for him. As long as he's continuing to be the threat of taking that shot, he'll be able to get plays like he did down the stretch of the game where Draymond overplayed the 3 and he was able to dribble into the paint and get the layup. That was very important, and it's not something that Draymond probably would have did had he not seen that fall earlier in the game. Little stuff like that opens the game up for you. That's why shot selection is important. If you jacking up bad threes and stuff like that, it will affect how the defense plays you. Thus affects how the defense is playing your teammates. So if they're not playing you hard, they're doubling your homie over there. So that's what it really comes down to. You got to be accountable for all of that. So, that's why I say take possession seriously. All that stuff matters. But I think Jokic, all in all, made himself more so of a threat just all the way around tonight. I think Mike Malone's going to have to figure out where else to go in that bench, man. And I said the same thing about the Timberwolves. I said the same thing about just about every team struggling in these playoffs. It gets to a point where you start looking and you see certain things aren't working, and those are the things you got to fix. As simple as that. If that guy if he ain't matched up well, do like Memphis did. You remove him from the play. You remove him from the situation entirely. And I think it's time for this team to start thinking that way as well. You're down 0-3. You got nothing to lose. So if anything, you should be trying stuff. And if you concede that you've lost this series, then my strategy is always to shift to give people opportunities to play in the playoffs who otherwise wouldn't get that opportunity. That's how I look at those situations. It's always fruitful to use what you have as a means of raising the value of the players on your team. I'll always preach that. So that's what I got to say, man. All in all, I think we saw a very good game tonight. I don't think Denver should feel bad about themselves. I don't think they should be sad to any degree. You just got to keep fighting. They tried some things that worked tonight defensively. They will, they should be able to maybe tweak a few things and continue what it is that they were doing that worked. And in one game begets another game, begets another game, begets another game. Injuries are starting to define these entire playoffs. And if you look around, players are starting to drop. Key players. And, series that you thought were over, now suddenly it looks like the other team could actually come back and win those series in multiple cases in these first round. So with that being said, I don't expect anything like that to happen here. But teams need to be very mindful that it could happen more so this year than any other year. Why? Because none of us should ever forget that COVID protocol still exists. Paul George got removed from a game just a week ago. We know what it was. It was a play-in game. I do think that could happen in these playoffs somewhere. And if they remove the right player from the wrong team, this is going to send these playoffs into a frenzy. I'm talking guys coming back from 0-3 deficits type stuff. So I would tell Jokic, just keep playing. Just keep playing every team. If you're down 0-3, keep playing. Because something weird could happen in 2022. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.